7.
Oh my golly.
You're pulling up one rooms already. Yes.
Today we're going to play Twitch Plays Nathan. That's not going to happen. All right.
He's just going to type do a cartwheel over and
Do
over.
a barrel. Do a barrel roll.
Can they even do a barrel roll unless they use an actual barrel?
Well, I thought a barrel roll was just like, I guess that's a log roll, really, isn't it? You know, if you just lay down on the floor and roll.
That would be a log roll.
Yeah. That is the extent of my acrobatic abilities.
Roll to play dead.
Yeah. So hi everybody. I guess we're doing okay. Yeah? Do a card. Yeah. Okay. So how's everybody doing? My name is Nathan Reynolds. I'm here at the Pixelscopic offices, and I am going to show you guys. This might be helpful maybe for the modding community later, or you know, if you're just interested in kind of how we do things in the office. We're gearing up for a big dungeon randomization rollout thing, and we're getting ready to start making specific room instances, so random variants of different rooms, and then those will all get merged together to make the dungeons that make the levels that make the game. So, yippee! It's very exciting news. We've gone through several different processes at this point to try and make the randomization and the uniqueness of each level in each room as interesting as possible. Trying to make interesting rooms, but also to make them so that we can have just an enormous quantity of them too, so that way you don't run into the same stuff over and over and over and over and over again. And I'm using Tiled at the moment. That's the program that I have, which is a free program you can download that does a lot of cool, neat things for game designers maybe out there if you're interested in maybe getting into this sort of stuff yourself. You never know. And plus, this is the tool that you will be able to use to make your own levels in the game once it comes out. And the game, by the way, is Delver's Drop. You'll see a little link at the bottom of your screen for the pre-order. We take pre-orders now too, but you can get access to the game, get access to the forums, and all that cool stuff. So, I don't know, you know, check it out. Word to your mother. Okay, so I have a thing open right now, but I'm actually just going to open one of these others. In this file, I have a whole slew, basically, of templates that we use, which are basically just wall templates. They're and shape templates. So the shape of every room is unique, and then it has a prefix. You'll see here some are named hall, some are named hub, and then we have a whole bunch of rooms. And all of that has to do with how the algorithm for the random generation pulls the rooms together. So it's a pretty important naming process as far as that is concerned. I'm just going to pick, what should I pick? I'll pick another one of these hubs. I like hubs, they're nice and big, spacey. Let's see what this looks like. What do we got here? Oh, this is a crazy one. Okay, so this, actually it's not too bad. Well, we have this basic template. You'll see if I switch to one of these object layers, I can point each of these little concrete sort of sections is just space holder that we use to designate a cell within tiled, and a cell is basically a smallest increment that we can fit a door into, so that the dungeon generator can, you know, functionally put two rooms next to each other and it still spatially makes sense. So you don't have rooms that like overlap or some crazy weird non-Euclidean geometry nastiness. So and this is all ignored by the game. It doesn't pay attention to this particular layer. I can turn it off and on, and it is in the ignore grid. So we have a whole set of tiled layers down here. You will see here, there's random debris, fixed edge, fixed border, random cover, fixed path, fracks, which is cracks, but we use the word F because we really like Battlestar Galactica. Actually, that's not true.
We like that word.
Yes. It actually has to do with Kobe using a shorthand for letters to pull one of each of these layers. So we can't have cover, for instance, and cracks because they both start with C. So cover wins that battle, and we use F for cracks. Don't ask me why specifically that letter was chosen. I'm sure it has
Fragments of cracks.
fragments. Okay, I can kind of see that. I just think it's funny. So basically, the game decides it's going to pull one variant of each of these sets of tiled layers. And then it also does the same thing with each of these object layers, and we have a whole slew of those as well. And they function basically the same way. So we can have sort of groups of layers that spawn together, or at least double variants, so to speak. And the whole purpose of this is to make it just as crazy random as possible, I guess. I will now go to, let's see here, this is our template guide. So yeah, you can kind of see if I get down here, maybe. Yeah, so this, and I would expect that you guys will have access to this at some point. And all of this will be information you guys can use to sort of modify and make your own dungeon stuff too one day. And it explains all of the technical details as far as cells and world units and all sorts of wild stuff. And then there's this other sort of exciting document. Yeah, okay, so this is the one I need right now. This is a document that Baker worked really, really hard on to put together, and he's come up with maximum perceived uniqueness, and basically it's a whole set of steps in order to, or that we follow in order to get the dungeons looking sort of as unique as possible. Let me see here. I'm going to do my best to actually follow the rules here. I'm going to take this template and I'm going to file save as. I'm going to go to dungeon and I will go to generic because we're going to try and make one of these rooms that can be used in any of the zones. It's not specific to any particular zone, which is another handy dandy thing. It's kind of like it reskins the entire room based on what zone it's in. So you know, the walls, the floors, all of the tile set, everything, it'll just look like a totally different room. And I only have to make it once with one tile set, so that's pretty handy. And I will give this some sort of code name like, I don't know, Hawk. Why not? And save. Okay. So now I have a sort of a unique instance of this room, and I can start working on thinking about how I want this to be designed. First off, the very absolute first thing I want to think about is how the character is going to move through this dungeon room specifically. I have the doors labeled here in red. And let me go to an object layer so you don't have to see my tile selection. So there's a door here, 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 there. So we have 6 doors. That's math for you. And I'm going to find out, let's see, this was hub 21 by 29. So let's go in here to the crazy cool metadata. Hall. Hubs, here we go. 21, 29, BD. Which is this one. This whole row here. So, if I zoom out here, you will see that this spreadsheet is absolutely gigantic. And it has one instance of every template file that we have in the game. It references each door possibility for that. So I think the most number of doors a room can have is up to 12, I guess. And if I zoom back in here, back to normal, so you guys can see what's going on. One more time. There we go. Okay. So this designates each door direction, so starting with the topmost, leftmost door, and then working clockwise around the room. It gives its location. Kobe pulls all of this data down, and then this is how he decides where to place the doors. So it's pretty intense. See here. Yeah, so it's got 6 doors. It shows each one of them and their location. All that stuff is cool, snazzy. And then this doesn't actually have. This is just halls. So lovely. I picked a room that we don't have a sheet for yet. That's okay. I'm going to duplicate this. Region. And then we're just going to kill all of this. Kill it with fire, I say, because this is a duplicate. We don't need it. Alright, so we renamed this hub. My browser didn't crash. You are correct. Yay. Yeah, the new Google spreadsheets are a lifesaver. So they make those big ass spreadsheets much easier to handle. Okay, so I give, this actually can be generated, but I'm just going to punch this in. And then we say who's designing this. That would be moi. I don't have any notes for it yet. TMX done, yes. Where's the template reference? Oh, room template. There we go. Its room template is going to be hub 21, 29, BD. Lots of technical jargon to really keep you interested. I'm sure you're excited. Okay, so now that all that's done, this is important because this cross-references the room metadata for the template that we have. So we list what template we pick, and now we have to decide which directions we're going to go. Like which doors do we want to use, which doors do we don't want to use, so we can kind of control how it spawns, what it decides to do. Very interesting, actually, I think. But I am a geek. So, let's make, by the way, I'm looking at the tiled file over here on my other monitor. You guys can't see that, but I'll explain it to you here in just a quick second. So I want to look at door number 1, which is the topmost door in this room. And we are going to make this mandatory so that we make sure that at least that door will always spawn. And we will give it, let's see, its ops is 1, 2, 3, 4. Door number 4 is the door farthest away. It's the exact opposite, so it's in a straight line right across. This is actually at the bottom of the room. We will call this mandatory as well. So now we have an entrance and an exit at least guaranteed. And then there are also ways to designate a room as specifically an entrance, so the character will always enter from that direction. That's something we use for puzzles and stuff to make sure that a character can't come in on the wrong end of a puzzle and get totally screwed up and the dungeon doesn't break, basically. So it's pretty nifty. And then we also have hall only, which are rooms that are doors that only spawn into hallways, which are like the sort of connecting space between rooms. Optional is just like at the generator's whim. If it needs a door to spawn there to make the rest of the dungeon generation work, then it can spawn those and make sure that it works. So that's actually, since this is a hub, a central point in the dungeon, that's actually what we're going to do. So we're going to make all of these other doors optional. So that's all that gets referenced. And again, this will also get pulled down by Kobe so that he knows which ones are which. In addition to this hall gen and room gen sheet, we'll also have one for every zone. So that way we can easily turn on and off rooms per zone, just kind of by flagging them in the spreadsheet. It makes balancing each level of the dungeon a lot easier, hopefully, fingers crossed, and gives us a lot more control over which rooms spawn where. So we can kind of increase the difficulty or what have you as the game progresses. Okay, so now that I have this set, I have at least a good idea of where my character is going to be able to come in from and exit from. So I'll go back here to tile. This was the door 1 that I just referenced that I made mandatory, this guy right here. And then the other door that I made mandatory was this one at the the southernmost door right here. So both of these doors are mandatory. They're always going to show up when this particular room variant gets spawned. And all of the other doors here are randomly generated. These red boxes here are really just for reference. We don't need them drawn anymore. It's just sort of, as a designer, you kind of need to know where your doors are at. So that's how that works. Okay, so I have these random tiles, and I'm gonna go ahead and give this sort of a generic tile set, something interesting. Yeah, I like these guys a lot, so random tiles. I have this here. And these do use a half-brick tiling pattern, which I'm sure makes a whole lot of sense. Basically, one chunk of tiles with the other chunk halfway across. So you'll notice that I'm placing this next tile set halfway up the previous one that I just placed. So I kind of make this sort of diagonal pattern at first. It helps. And then I kind of have a baseline to start going up all these others. So if you're really careful, yeah, I really like using tiled. I like the, what you see, what you get aspect of it, because I'm definitely a visual person. Definitely helps. I mean, you have to take a little bit extra caution when you're setting all this stuff up, but the benefits are really nice. Since our walls here are these sort of green yellow lines, so I'm not going to bother tiling this area, and I'll actually probably come in here and erase a bunch of these excess tiles later on, but for now I'm just going to leave them because they're not hurting anything. Alright, the next thing I want to do is this border. That's a really important part. Aesthetically, doesn't have any impact on how the character walks, but just so that the room looks nice, I want to make sure that I get these in. So I go over here to the fixed border layer, and then I go over to the tile set section where I have the borders, and I just kind of draw them on here. They can be mirrored X and Y, so I can place them as you see here. See, I think this goes. Oh, I have them in one too many places. Well, let's. Alright, mulligan here. That actually goes like that. The world's loudest mouse. Alrighty, I think that's all the corners. Alright, so now we get to do the interior bits. Oh, I missed that corner. There we go. Wow, I apparently cannot draw that corner at all. There we go. I don't know why that was so difficult. Alright. So now we have borders around the whole room. You can kind of see, that makes it a lot easier to see the walls too. You can kind of imagine what sort of shape the room is. Alright, so no new questions or anything too, we haven't got too crazy yet. Okay. So I have doors set up in metadata, I have walls, so now we get to do the gentile thing. So gentile is our generic tiles, pardon the name. And these tiles are new. They're actually, we just implemented them. They're pretty cool. They're designed to lay over the other tiles, but they look like they're meant to be underneath the tiles. It's kind of a play, fool the eye sort of effect. And what this does is, you know, a lot of our tile sets are kind of heavy on the eyes to see. There's a lot of stuff going on with them. So we use these as sort of interstitial between different decorative tile areas, and also as just kind of a little bit more plain areas, so that way you can focus more on the other aspects of the room, maybe the more important aspects of the room, other than just being bombarded with crazy colors for the floors and stuff. Like, I mean, this tile set's particularly loud, but some of them look like tiled floors and stuff, and so they're pretty crazy to catch your eye on, I guess. So I'm going to go here, and as I was talking about earlier, the main flow of this room is these two doors. The other four are optional, so I want to make sure that I kind of lead the character on a quest, so to speak. I'm going to Alright, so I like how that looks. One thing you have to keep in mind though is this border right here is really ugly, so we want to make sure that we use the edge tile set to kind of make a seam there. It's a little easier for people to use or to see on. Yeah. Yeah, alright. So I'll do this. I think that corner might need a little bit of drawing love there, but that's okay. Okay, so now I kind of have a basic floor design here. There's not really a whole bunch of stuff going on, and that's fine. I want to try and, you know, KISS method, keep it simple, stupid, right? So next thing I want to do is I'm going to go up here to, I'll go up here to the top. I'm going to make a new object layer. And I'm going to call this ignore. Ignore is our code for, guess what? Ignore, so the game doesn't read it. Ignore impasse. And I'm just going to draw a shape here. How do I want to do this? This door is here and here. The path is kind of here. Kind of looking at symmetry. So our main axis is going to be vertical from one end to the other, but the character may want to veer off to the left or the right depending on which way he's coming from and which doors spawn. So we want to keep that in mind, because since we made this all optional, we're just going to hint at the optional doors and leave the main path down the center or something really strong. Because there's guaranteed to be a room at either end of this. So what I think I will do is I'm going to draw. What am I doing? Oh, I can't draw that way. That's right. An area here. An area here. This is just sort of for design purposes, right? So these boxes won't actually do anything. Other than tell me where I kind of want to put things. So we'll kind of feed off this way. We'll leave that way dark. And then we'll do a similar thing down here. No, I want this here. And there we go. So I made those green just so you guys can kind of see. This is going to give me some free space so that I can visually see. Yeah, I always forget. Kind of where I can safely put things. Okay. So now that I have that done, just to remember, and then I'm going to go to fixed path. Path is really important because, like I said, you want to lead the character in the right direction, hopefully, at least subtly. So I'm going to use our wonderful carpet, which we continually have to redesign because it keeps looking like purple water, but it's getting there. It's getting better, you know, so baby steps. And I will draw it in here. One, two. I didn't draw that very well. I want to make sure I get within that door. There'll actually be a sprite inside the door frame, so you can't see the border underneath it eventually, but it just hasn't been drawn yet. It's pretty low priority. So 4, yeah, okay, so. fine. And then we will do this other, grab this other side here. Okay. Alright, so now you can see I have this main drag here. But I think that's really, I don't know, it's a little, we can make it a little bit more interesting. So let's maybe kill it there and there. Let's see here. Let's see, what does this line up to? Yeah. Actually, that doesn't tile very well. It does okay. That's not exactly what I wanted to do. There we go. We definitely want to make sure the first level looks pretty raggedy and a little torn up. We can kind of go in here and delete a little bit of this stuff. Alright, so there we go. That's kind of a little bit more interesting. We definitely lead the eye. Through the room. Let's see. 1, 2, this. Yeah, let's go into Notepad. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm making it so I can load this game, or this particular room up real fast, and we'll give it a look in game. Hawk Hub 2129 BD underscore TMX. Alright, so you'll notice there aren't any doors because this is just a single room generation, and there are no other sort of rooms it doesn't get connected to right now. We're just looking at the room as I test it, and as I draw it, so the doors won't actually show up in game yet. And actually there's a bit of an error with our tile set at the moment, and you can see the sort of seams where it sews everything together on that grid pattern. You can actually see the individual tiles basically. That is getting fixed, obviously. That we're not going to leave that, but it's actually really handy. I was testing some objects a little bit ago, and because I can see the grid in game, I can see how far they're off. Their offsets and stuff are off.
We need to do that today.
Yeah.
That's the thing you and I are
Okay.
going to do. Fixing the object offset.
Yeah. So Ian Kobe was just telling me we're going to work on some more offset stuff here after I get done with the stream. So that'll be exciting. We can work on that. Maybe we'll show you some neat new stuff next week. I'll show you some new objects and stuff here pretty quick. As we start really building this game, or this particular room. Right now we're just laying out the tiles, but I think this is a good start. We can go ahead and start laying in our impassable layers so that way you can really force a character around the room. Let me look at the comments here. Is anything? Oh, it looks like Richard's handling. Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay. So we have this sort of stuff. And I mean, this is probably just the bare bones minimum of a room style set. We can go ahead and make duplicates of these gen tiles, over tiles, decorative elements that are the cracks, excuse me, and have random variants that spawn within that. So this would just be one guaranteed example of the floor set in this room. But we want to make sure that the impassable areas are the same basically on every permutation of this room. Yeah, so that's fine. We'll go here. So we have random A impasse and random B impasse. That's two just variants in our object sheet. We'll start with random A impasse. We'll go here to objects, and I will use these walls here. Actually, we can use the 3. We're going to turn you off for a second. And that, so I still have this. This is off. Okay. Okay, so now we've sort of started to knock out this area. And this empty space right here, that little red arrow indicates that there's a third part. I can go in over here to filler. Oh, well, that's only the one filler. Oh, where's the smaller ones? There we go. And if I need to, that will just let me know. Looks like I don't need this, because this goes there. So these little filler blocks or no, they don't actually show up in game or anything like that. It's just to let me know that, hey, that's a thing, there's a thing there that's bigger than actually it is in tiled. Okay. So do that, and we'll go ahead and we'll just do the rest of these real quick here. I guess that's going to go right up against that.
What's the filler? Is that generic stuff?
Yeah, it's a no object.
Ah, so that you can place.
Objects that are larger than they are in
Oh,
tile.
shut up, 'cause you guys are me.
Yeah, and it's just a visual reference. It's not. Oh. Let's see here. This is, nope. That should be there. So this needs to be there. That should be there. Yeah. All right. That's silly. So I do have enough room there. Oh hell. There we go. That lines up against the wall better. let's see. Depending on the dungeon part, you might enter from up, down, left, right if one puzzle can go in. Yes, Doom, you are correct. But that's why we make sure that in the metadata we know any directionally important puzzle room. You have to make sure that you set it up in a specific instance in the metadata. So that way you always tell, like, the character will for sure enter from this direction. And activate a switch or something, and all of the doors will open leading to the next part of the dungeon, or what have you. So we can guarantee that the generator will lead into a room, if that makes sense. I hope it does. Yeah, okay. So hopefully that helps answer a question. And then the theory. Ta-da. Okay, so you theoretically would be like starting from here. So have these little guys here to guide you along the way. You might put something kind of up in here. Let the character go down and around and up. Some breakable objects or something like that. Maybe, you know, non-essentials. There's a door here that spawns, so we'll have to find a way to sort of dress that up. Might use another tile layer or some decorative parts. Want to see the stats on these anyway, so we'll fiddle fart. Boing. Alright, so that's a rubber sphere, I think. That's the rubber ones. Yeah, they push you back. Oh god. They act kind of like the traps do, but they don't hurt you. And then there's a little Fury treasure chest for your eyes doggle, I guess. I wonder if I can pick these up. Can I pick these up? Oh, I can. Oh, that's dangerous. Oh god. I was told by, oh gosh, by James, one of the other guys here, that if I wanted to just have a lot of fun, fill a sandbox room full of the rubber spheres. I haven't had a chance to do it yet. This is as close as I've gotten, but I can kind of imagine how ridiculous that would become in a hurry. Shit, did you see that bounce off the wall? Alright, so that's silly. That's playing. That's not level design, that's toying around.
It's mega cool.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I did not expect them to be that bouncy. They're a little buggy yet. I think they could be tweaked, but... Let's see here. Put some storage. There's actually supposed to be a pusher trap that's kind of like the hockey puck, but it doesn't necessarily do any damage. I guess that is kind of like the rubber sphere. It just pushes you around, so it could just kind of mess with you. Okay, so let's go back down here to the tiles, and let's tease this doorway that could spawn down here. Use our cracks. That doesn't quite tile. Looks like this is in every other tile thing. Yes. All right. So we kind of use these similar to how we use the. No, that's not very good. All right. Kind of like how we use the carpets. So yeah, kind of interesting. At least get you to look there at the very least. You think, what on earth was there or used to be there? Let's see here. I think to SA. Just kind of, what are this? Is just kind of deciding what all it is. Let's go ahead and stick with the walls for now. Is it here? Yeah. Destructible. Oh. Doesn't really matter, I guess. We can put this little guy in here. Put some more cut stones. Oh, wait. I have a nasty habit of wanting to run that right up against the border, but really it needs to be up against the walls. Yeah. Sure.
I'm gonna post that on Facebook or Twitter. That is nice, right? It's a nice book. Yeah, it almost makes me want to just make a t-shirt that actually just has that. That should be a t-shirt, just the back. It's a really cool design.
To say it's okay so long as you keep streaming. You don't have to know anything. Yeah, so that's not too bad. Boing. That's, yeah, that, I feel like, oh god, that's a game in and of itself, is just dodge the, anyway. Yeah, so that's just kind of some pushy stuff. Well, there could be a door here. And again, this is a generic room, so it could be completely retiled very easily. It's programmatic, actually. I don't have to do anything. It just, we get these free, basically. As long as I don't use anything zone specific, I stick to the generic stuff. We can sort of recycle these rooms across all the zones. But then there will be specific zone rooms that have really neat things in them, hopefully. So, yeah, we'll get there. Just realized that particular block has its angled bracket on this side. Are they all like that? Yes, they are. Huh. Oh. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean that's kind of like our beginner introductory course. We'll have, I said, we'll have access to this beautiful, lovely sheet, I would say, at some point that Baker worked on. There's all sorts of theory behind getting people to move through the rooms and random variants. Some nice diagrams and everything. So it's pretty complicated. It's not all rubber balls and rainbows, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, and actually lighting, that's kind of an interesting thing too. That's one of the things I actually really like. Is we have all of these generic specific sort of lights that we can use to sort of illuminate specific areas. See, I don't know. Maybe that will work? Yeah. So I guess it's kind of hard to tell, but there's actually a kind of a area light sort of right around in here. But yeah, I mean, unless anybody has some sort of crazy question or anything, I think I'm going to call it for the day. I've been doing an hour here. I could keep drawing on this room. But I probably have more pressing things I could be doing. So I'll wait for the delay, I guess. Hopefully it hasn't been too much lag. columns are added just like that. The columns for the walls are attached, so they automatically get drawn on whenever a wall meets another wall. And there's some like crazy room stuff when it comes to interior corners and stuff, but it's not really that crazy at all. It just takes a little time to wrap your brain around. And the interior columns, the columns that are like in the center of the room, those are just an object that get placed. So like I can just drop one of these bad boys right here and here, and theoretically this might work. Yeah, see, there you go, columns, voila. So, you know, these columns get drawn onto the walls. That's just how they end and begin, and then these columns are sort of an object that gets placed.
You know, you can expose mega funkiness.
Yeah, be warned. Interior columns, they look weird. Like, for instance, these look shorter. Like, I'm standing right here, it looks like we have this column, and this column.
Definitely are shorter.
And they all look different sizes too.
Well, they're just shorter, but that's to prevent some sorting issues.
Well, apparently Kobe says that they are shorter to help prevent some sorting issues, but that is to be expected. Sorting issues have been a very interesting experience working on a 2D game like this. How do I grow an awesome beard like you? I don't know. Think really hard about it. Meditate on it, my son. Anything else for you? All right. Well, thanks guys for sticking around, playing around with me here, doing the D-Drop dungeon design craziness stuff. So I hope that I hope that you guys enjoyed it to some degree. No cartwheels, no barrel rolls, sad face. But oh well. Maybe in the coming weeks you guys will get to see some really crazy stuff. I have a feeling, I have a hunch, maybe. So keep tuned. And as always, you can check out delvishdrop.com/preorder to pre-order the game. Get access to our fantastic forums and the lively community that we have there that we appreciate so much. So thanks again, guys. Also, thanks forum guys for showing up too. You guys are awesome.